let's jump right into this explainer. For all of you focused learners out there, you are in the exact right place. Today, we're totally tearing down a very familiar, and let's be honest, incredibly frustrating scenario that almost every single one of us faces when starting a new goal. You know the drill, right? You get that sudden wave of excitement. You sit down, you map out this grand master plan, and you make a solemn promise to yourself. Okay, this time, I am not gonna quit. You're all geared up and ready to transform your life.
And sure enough, day one arrives, and you are absolutely dialed in. I mean, completely focused. You've got that initial burst of pure motivation just carrying you forward. You tackle your new habit with a massive smile. Your energy is off the charts, and it feels like absolutely nothing in the world can stop you from reaching the finish line.
Then day 2 rolls around, and hey, you're still going. The sheer momentum from day 1 kind of manages to carry over just enough to keep that excitement alive for a little bit longer. It feels easy, doesn't it? You're checking the boxes and thinking to yourself, wow, I have finally cracked the code.
But then, well, inevitably, something changes. The newness wears off. You start to feel tired after a super long day at work. You lose that initial spark of blazing interest. And then it happens. You skip just one day. We have literally all been there. You tell yourself it's just a tiny break, no big deal, but that one skip day quickly and very quietly spirals into a skipped week. And suddenly, you are right back where you started, again.
Which brings us to a really heavy question. Why do I always quit? Man, it brings up so much inner frustration and just crushing self-doubt. You start asking yourself why you can't just stick to one single thing. You might even start wondering if there's something fundamentally wrong with you. But I want to stop you right there. Actually, I need you to know something absolutely crucial. It is not because you're lazy, and it is definitely not because you're weak. Okay, so let's dive into section 1, the biology of giving up. It's not weakness, it's wiring. We are officially taking the blame off your character, off your willpower, and looking straight at how your brain is actually biologically wired. See, you simply haven't understood how your own mind works. There's this stark, unavoidable contrast going on here. On one side, we have your brain's goal. Your brain isn't biologically designed to care about your 5-year career plan or your fancy new fitness routine. Nope, it's designed purely for survival. It actively seeks comfort, it wants things to be easy, and it wants them right now. On the exact opposite side, we have consistency's reality. True consistency requires doing things that are uncomfortable, deeply boring, and offer absolutely zero immediate reward. So consistency is literally the exact opposite of what your brain naturally craves. And this quote right here brilliantly illustrates the danger of giving in to that natural craving. Every time you listen, you make quitting easier. When that initial excitement totally vanishes and the discipline gets uncomfortable, your brain starts resisting. It whispers to you, hey, skip today, you totally deserve a break, just start tomorrow. And because it feels so right in the moment, you listen. But every single time you listen, you strengthen the habit of quitting. Over time, you completely stop trusting yourself. You make promises, but deep down you know you won't keep them. And wow, that just destroys your self-confidence from the inside out. So, how in the world do we break this destructive cycle? That brings us to section 2, discipline over motivation, the myth of excitement. There is a critical, fundamental flaw in the strategy almost everyone uses when trying to change their lives. We're all making the exact same mistake of relying on temporary excitement to try and achieve permanent goals. Let's look closely at this definition of motivation. According to the source material, motivation is simply a temporary feeling. It rushes in when you feel inspired, but poof, it vanishes into thin air the exact moment things get difficult. If your daily actions are entirely dependent on this fleeting, unpredictable feeling, your progress is always going to be unstable. Relying on motivation is a massive trap, simply because it abandons you exactly when you need it the most. Now, let's contrast that with discipline. Discipline is doing the action anyway. You do it when you don't feel like it, and you do it even when it is mind-numbingly boring. So the crucial point here is that discipline, not excitement, not motivation, is the required permanent foundation of true consistency. It's the absolute bedrock of everything you want to achieve. I absolutely love this everyday analogy from our source. Do you brush your teeth every day? Think about it. Do you eat every day? Do you sleep every day? Of course you do, but ask yourself why. Is it because you wake up incredibly motivated, practically vibrating with excitement to go brush your teeth? No way. You do it because it's a habit. It's a mindless, boring, daily repetition. You don't debate it, you just do it. And that is exactly what true consistency looks like. Not excitement, just repetition. Imagine for a second if your biggest life goals became as mindless and automatic as brushing your teeth.
So how do we actually bridge the gap and make that happen? Let's transition into section 3, 4 steps to consistency, the behavioral blueprint.
The source material doesn't just leave us hanging with theory, it provides a deeply pragmatic, actionable framework for building these lifelong habits from the ground up. Here are the 4 core steps, the literal blueprint you must follow if you want to permanently stop the cycle of quitting. Step 1, make it small. Step 2, remove friction. Step 3, accept boring. And step 4, track actions. Let's break these down one by one so you can start applying them right away.
Okay, step 1, make it small. Look, most people fail right out of the gate because their ambition makes them start way, way too big. They announce, I'm gonna study for 5 hours daily, or I'm working out 2 hours every single day. And after 3 days, they inevitably burn out. Instead, the strategy is to start incredibly small. Commit to just 10 or 20 minutes. You have to make the daily requirement so ridiculously easy that you physically and mentally cannot say no to it.
Step 2, remove friction. If your environment is working against you, you won't stay consistent, period. If the TV remote is sitting right next to your book, the TV is going to win. You need to actively alter your physical environment. Keep your distracting phone in a totally different room. Prepare your workspace, or, set out your gym clothes the night before. You must design your surroundings so that making the right choice is the absolute easiest choice available.
Next is step 3, accept boring. Now, this is a really tough pill for many to swallow, but it's essential. Consistency is inherently boring. Doing the same beneficial thing over and over again is not a thrill ride. But that boring repetition is exactly what creates massive results. If you spend your life constantly chasing excitement and avoiding boredom, you are pretty much guaranteeing your own failure. We literally have to normalize and embrace the boredom. And finally, step 4, track your actions. Notice it says track your actions, not your results. Why is this distinction so incredibly important? Because results take a long, long time to actually materialize. If you only look for results, you'll get discouraged and you'll quit. But your actions? You have total control over those every single day. Your daily focus must strictly be on the controllable, measurable action of simply showing up. And that brings us to our final section, section 4, the ultimate shift, consistency over perfection.
Zooming out to the macro perspective here, this is the overarching mindset shift that ties all these daily steps together. It's the mental hurdle you absolutely have to clear. On the left side, we have perfection. Striving to be perfect is a dangerous, dangerous trap. It makes you quit because the very first moment you mess up or skip a day, you feel like a total failure and you just throw in the towel. But on the right side, we have consistency. Consistency makes you grow. It works even if it's super slow, it works even if it's incredibly messy, and it works even if it's not perfect. What truly matters is that you just keep going. And this elegantly leads right into the core thesis of all the source material we've covered today. Read this quote with me. Not one big action, but small actions done every single day. That is the secret right there. Massive, life-altering changes do not come from a single, exhausting, heroic effort. They don't come from a sudden flash of brilliant motivation. No, they come from tiny, unglamorous, repeated daily actions that compound steadily over time. That is what winners do. They just show up again and again.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with this final visionary thought. Just imagine your life if you stayed consistent for just one single year. How profoundly different would you be? Would you be stronger, more confident, more successful? That incredible version of you is not actually that far away. It's just hidden behind a wall of inconsistency. So stop waiting around for motivation to magically strike. Stop the endless cycle of starting over. Stop quitting. Start today, start right now, and just show up. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep learning and most importantly, keep showing up.